Look, no Johns, but if I went to the biggest Smash Ultimate tournament in the world, I would simply not lose. I don't know what Sparg0 is doing, but he's got a goat up. Welcome to No Johns. My name's Eric. I'll be your host for this episode. And with us today is also Sparg0. Sparg0, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you main?
Hi, I'm Sparg0. I make videos with Eric on our other channel, Sample Text, and of course, I main the GOAT Piranha Plant.
This is true. And speaking of the GOAT playing Piranha Plant, hopefully we'll get to some of that today within our topics. I'm also a plant main, so we're going to really enjoy that section. But let's get into the topics.
So, Eric, you were saying something about Piranha Plants, our beautiful plant boy. How's he doing in the competitive scene?
Our GOAT, for reference, he's not considered a good character. He hasn't had good results in forever.
Come on, man.
No, seriously, like, people don't believe in this character, and it's sad.
We've always believed in him.
We have, and look, I played him competitively for a couple of years, and I got some decent results with him, and I do think he does decent in a couple matchups, and apparently someone else does too. Sparg0, arguably one of the best players in the world, and number one player for a couple of years. He has always had a Piranha Plant that he's pulled out in funny brackets, but recently he pulled it out in tournament during his travels to Japan, and he won a tournament with Piranha Plant, and he also beat one of the best players in America, Light, using Piranha Plant because he hadn't been able to beat him with Cloud in the past.
As he should. I think the most important question, though, is what color plant does he use?
He uses the normal plant. And I say, why mess with perfection?
Oh my
I think he's a great little guy.
You gotta use the blue plant. If you're a real plant fan, you gotta have the blue variant.
The blue is very good. I used that one for a while, too. The gold pot is pretty snazzy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he uses Piranha Plant not because he thinks that there's any special advantage. He just likes the guy, and he has been very vocal on Twitter in the past saying, I have the best Piranha Plant in the world, which is hilarious considering that there are actually Piranha Plant mains who have been spending years of their life getting good with this character, but if Sparg0 plays him, they are no longer the best player in the world.
So, I'm seeing here in my notes that the biggest Smash tournament of all time just happened, and it was a little underwhelming?
Unfortunately, that's true. The tournament was Kaguribi. It was held in Japan, and everyone just decided, hey, we're all going to go to this tournament. The Switch 2's coming out. Everyone's kind of slowing down with Ultimate. Let's have one last big hurrah. So all these American players and European players, most of the top 100 was in attendance.
It says here that you want me to guess what the prize pool was for this tournament.
Yeah, so take a guess for me, considering that this is probably sponsored by Nintendo. Maybe they have a couple of sponsor groups, but nothing huge.
Alright, well I know how much Nintendo really loves the competitive scene, so I'm thinking that they forked out $1,000 for the biggest Smash tournament ever.
You'd really hope. You'd hope maybe they brought some Switches, maybe they gave some money.
I'd take a coupon for the Switch 2 at this point.
Bro, that would be the grand prize.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the grand prize was $0.
Oh my god, $0?
$0.
How'd they get all the people to come to this thing?
So it's really just for passion. And the reason that they couldn't do a prize pool is because in Japan, winning money from gaming events is seen as gambling.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So they couldn't do that. So legit, they had biggest tournament of all time for $0 just for pride. And unfortunately, it was not a banger top 8. We had some great matches in top 32 and early end bracket, but it was a bit of a slog at the top.
When you say that it was a slog, what do you mean by that? What was so underwhelming about it? Was it just the big players are the ones who won, or?
You know, that's kind of interesting because the top players were the ones that were getting upset and weren't making it to the top.
Really?
There were a couple that we expected, like Akala, but notably, all of the good players that got there played characters like Sonic and Steve and Min Min, and so it was just a really slow bracket.
Gotcha.
And unfortunately, Grand Finals was Raru versus Akala, which is a really cool storyline. Akala started as a Luigi main and Raru is now the best Luigi and actually makes people think that he's a good character. They faced off in grand finals, and if you look at all of the highlights from that match, it's very fun. But if you were to sit down and watch that match, there is so much time spent with Luigi on one side of the stage and Steve on the other, just waiting for the other person to make a mistake. It was exhausting, but the clips were really cool.
So people just playing the meta, no one with whimsy in their heart playing Piranha Plant, for
True.
instance.
Yeah, no one had whimsy in their heart this tournament. They came to win, and it is really cool. There's great narratives, but it is unfortunate that a tournament can go from being so hyped to being just because of the top 8.
Yeah. Well, that's enough of Smash Bros. Ultimate. Is there any new news in Melee?
We've got some pretty cool stuff happening in Melee. One that I am very fond of is that we have Ice Climbers doing really well. Keep in mind, Ice Climbers are not a great character, and they haven't seen success in a really long time.
Why not?
So, they hit hard.
Yeah.
But they don't have the mobility and options that a lot of other characters do.
I remember you saying that they have some pretty good combos, though.
They do. They have an infinite. If you get one grab on a person, you can kill them. But that's since been banned.
That's been banned?
It's been banned.
How do you ban a combo? I didn't know you could do that. I heard of banning characters.
It's interesting in Melee, like, there's no patches to the game. The game's been out since 2001. You can only do so much. So there's techniques, like, they call it wobbling, the infinite combo.
Okay. So what happens if you do it in a tournament? Do they take you out back and... cheating at a casino?
They do. They say, all right, you lost. You lost that match. Next match. They take you straight to the next one. So the rule right now is you can only do, like, 3 hits of the infinite combo before you have to either throw them or do something else.
Gotcha.
So Ice Climber players have gotten really good in splicing that little infinite into their combos and making really cool routes that are still, like, grabbed to deaths. But it looks cooler.
Man, this is just a fascinating franchise.
It's funny because you have these really passionate people doing stuff where it's like, it takes years to learn these skills, but they're just so down to do it.
So what makes them optimal again?
They really aren't optimal again. It's so funny. The main guy is Nicky from Germany. He was Germany's #1 Smash Bros. Melee player. He played Fox, best character in the game, and he got bored. So he switched to Ice Climbers, and he was like, these guys are so funny. And he's just been playing Ice Climbers, and he's done great at tournaments recently. He's been flown out, and Ice Climbers are on top again.
Nice. So I see in my notes, as far as Melee goes, Full House had the weirdest death of all time. Are we talking Bob Saget? Or
No. Bob Saget...
yeah, let's cut that. Let's cut
No,
that.
that's funny.
Okay. Keep going then. Keep going.
Bob Saget was not in attendance at this tournament, although it was the namesake of Full House.
Okay.
I'll pull the clip up right here so you can see it. But evidently, the grand finals was not close. Cody Schwab was up 3-0 against Moki. Last stock, not even the last stock game. Moki's just kind of waiting on the tree for the transformation to end. And there you go, he clips through the tree.
Oh my god.
And falls to his death. Moki at this point evidently is not surprised. He's just accepted defeat. Cody's surprised and he's like, all right, I guess I won. So although this tournament didn't have any crazy results at the very end, everyone's going to remember not Bob Saget, but Fox McCloud falling to his death.
Let's hope it doesn't end up in a ban, or else we'll only have about 3 stages left in Melee that are legal.
Seriously. They don't have many. And we need something else to keep it fresh. So that's Melee, although that was an interesting end. There were a couple cool things that happened. Pikachu did well with Axe. Hungrybox was able to beat Zane. Just little things like that. So it's really cool. This is a really good time to be watching Melee. There's some fun storylines happening. And we've got a bunch of big tournaments happening all the time, like Tipped Off coming up.
Very nice. And then in some heartbreaking news, it looks like The Bachelorette is not going to have a new season this summer. Do you have any insight on why that may be?
You know, I really don't know. My guess is as good as yours, but we've got a bunch of other reality TV happening.
Oh, really?
We've got stuff like...
Love Island?
Love Island. We've got Love is Blind.
Okay.
other
Love on the Spectrum?
shows. There we go.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of reality TV.
You're right. We don't really need The Bachelor this season. It just is sad for fans of the show.
This hasn't happened in a really long time, so hopefully they're taking a break to make it bigger and better than ever. But we'll have to take our Bachelor moment of peace. All right, that's the episode for us today. Burge, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. It was a blast.
Definitely. This is our first episode, and we're doing what we can. So please put in the comments what you enjoyed, maybe what you'd like to hear us talk about in the next episode, because we're going to keep this up. So just remember, till next time, no Johns.
No Johns.